What's up everyone? Today I'm going to be giving you 10 free custom glitch overlays that you can use to animate text, customize a logo, or even just create transitional elements. So let's jump into it. But first, click that like button. So these transitions are fairly easy to make within After Effects. I'm just going to teach you a couple expressions that will help you create these. However, if you don't want to learn how to make them, just click the link in the description down below and you can download these for free and get to editing. So with that said, this video is brought to you by ENVATO Elements. Click the link for 50% off an annual subscription. Open up After Effects and select New Composition. Let's name this Composition Glitch Overlay. And I just selected the 4K 24 frames per second preset because I know that that's the resolution and frame rate I want to work with. You can change that. Make the duration 10 seconds because I think that works great for this. If you want it to be longer, just change it to like 30 seconds. Make sure your background's black and click OK. Now down here in the timeline, you're going to right click, select New, and then go to Solid. Name this Solid Glitch Overlay. Make the color black and click OK. Now go to the right hand side and type in fractal noise under the effects and presets and drag on the noise and grain fractal noise either into the preview area or down on your solid layer. You'll see that it instantly greets us with a bunch of clouds, which we're going to manipulate. You can use all of these settings, and now I'm going to show you one tip to animate it to make it pretty epic. Change the fractal type to something like max or smeary. You can play around with these. Even turbulent works pretty good, but I'm going to start with max. Change the noise type to block, and let's start playing with these settings. Contrast kind of changes the brightness of the overall image. Brightness will actually kind of take away some blocks and add blocks back in. I found that you want to kind of start off by dragging this to the left so that you have some visible blocks and you have some black areas as well. -60 seems to work pretty well for me. Now, under the Transform tab, you can manipulate the rotation by rotating that. You can even adjust the scale of your things, but I'm going to recommend uncheck uniform scaling, and now you can start to play with the width and height. Change the width to, let's say, 5,000. So that'll give us some lines right here. And let's just scale the height up to, say, 350, because I think that'll look cool. Now, I don't really like what I'm seeing right now because there's not much here, but that's okay. You can change your offset turbulence as well as checking perspective offset. Now, perspective offset will happen a little bit later when we change some settings. Go under sub settings, and you can see if you drag your sub influence up, you're going to start to populate some smaller little background elements which we can use. So let's drag that up to, let's say, 80, and then sub scaling, if you increase the size of that, that'll increase the size of our background sub settings. Again, you can rotate these settings, and you can also have an offset for those as well. Think of sub as the background and everything else in the foreground. Now, evolution, if you drag this, it'll actually kind of evolve your effect and change it all over the place. So that's pretty much all the options that I'm going to be playing with today. Now let me show you an effect to get some desired look. Now if this is too dark for you, just increase the brightness to maybe something like -40, and that will be a good starting point for us. We can manipulate this later. We're going to play around with something called the wiggle effect. Let's alt-click on the stopwatch on scale width. Now if you don't know what the wiggle effect is, all you have to do is type in wiggle and click enter. Now you need to denote two values. One is frequency, how often is this going to happen, and two is amplitude, what is the range that we're going to be working with. So let's just, for example, say frequency of 1, comma, and let's type in 1000 for the amplitude. Go to the end and type in a semicolon. If you click away, you'll see that It's happening kind of slow because it's one frequency and the range is 1,000. And that means this scale width, since it was at 5,000, can go anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 in change. Now, if I change the wiggle to say 100 and let's say 5,000, you'll instantly see that this happens a little bit more fast and it kind of jumps all over the place within that denoted frequency and amplitude. What the expression I want to use is actually going to be a hold expression, because wiggle, if you scrub through here, it kind of shrinks and enlarges, but I want the wiggle expression to jump all over the place. So that's where we're going to write an expression using posterizeTime, because posterizeTime will only return an updated value x times per second, and we can denote that in the wiggle expression. Kind of confused, but just copy what I'm writing and you'll be fine. Type in F equals, and this is your frequency, so let's say 100, and then do a semicolon, and then enter. Type A space equals, let's say 1,000, semicolon. Click enter and type in posterizeTime, and inside posterizeTime you want to type in F, because that's going to be our frequency. Go to the end, type a semicolon, and then click enter one last time and type in wiggle and type F comma space A. Go to the end, type in a semicolon. Now, if you play this back, you'll see that it kind of jumps all over the place instead of actually scaling. And I know it may be hard to see, but if you take this expression and play with it, all you have to do is manipulate the frequency, how often it happens, and the amplitude. So I'm going to put this down in the description so you can just copy this and put it into your expressions. So I'm going to hit Control C and copy this, and let's alt click on scale height, and all you have to do is paste that in and click away. Now, if we play this back, you'll see that we're starting to jump all over the place and getting something that's unique. But I don't like how small some of these things are right here. So as you can see, my amplitude is 1,000. So let's change this amplitude to 100 and the frequency to 50. So it slows down and the height isn't all over the place. Now we're getting something that's kind of jumping, but our objects aren't really moving. And this is where the offset turbulence effect comes into play. If I move this offset around, you'll see that it starts to manipulating the entire thing. So let's alt click on offset turbulence, paste that expression that we did, open it up a little bit more, and we can either just watch it right away and see what it's doing, which is pretty cool. I think that looks great, but I'm going to change the frequency down to 10 and let's say the amplitude to 5,000. So that way I know that it kind of jumps all over the place and isn't going to be in the unique same spot. Now, remember what I said about subsettings. Subsettings kind of influence the background in a sense. So if you drag that all the way down, there's not really going to be much background going on, and your layer is going to kind of look like one layer. But if you drag the sub influence up to a point where it starts to be shown, then you'll get some background stuff. So using this technique, I can drag it up to say 70%, and that shows me something in the background. If I alt click on that and paste in our expression, then I can change the frequency to let's say 10, and the amplitude, I don't want it to be 1,000 because I'm working with 70 right now. Let's say the amplitude is going to be 50. So that way it won't show the background sometimes, and then as I go through here, sometimes it'll populate in. So every now and then with these current settings, I'm getting some crazy white stuff all over the place, and this is because of the sub influence. Our amplitude's at 50, which may be a little high for this, so I'm going to change this down to 20. And if I click away, you'll see that it's not as crazy. But with that, we can also change the sub-scaling, which will change the scaling of the background. So I'm also going to change the sub-scaling to, let's say, 60. Now, if you play through it, it'll kind of populate in. We have some background stuff going on. It's glitching a little bit all over the place. But now I want to show you how to actually remove some of the background and add the background back in so it's a little more glitchy sometimes. And that's going to come with the brightness. So I typically recommend go to a certain spot on here and increase the brightness till you see about 50%. So increase the brightness a little bit till you start to see some stuff on the screen. Typically about half your screen you want to be filled with a lighter gray or white color and the rest black. And then we're going to alt click on the brightness stopwatch, and from here we can just paste in our simple wiggle expression that we've created. And you can play it back and you'll see that it kind of doesn't work right now because it's flashing all over the place. And that's because our amplitude is way too high. You're only dragging the brightness up and down, like, let's say like 40 or 50. So if I change my amplitude to 50 and click away, you'll see that I'll start to get some bright spots and some dark spots as well. But I think it's happening too fast. So I'm going to change my frequency to 10 and let's increase the amplitude to 100. What that will do is it'll give me some more flash spots, it'll give me some darker spots, and I can use this to actually manipulate this glitch transition. In a nutshell, keep playing around with all these settings. Like if I'm playing this back, if I increase the subscaling a lot, what does that make my transition do? If I decrease the subscaling to, let's say, 50, what does that do? It kind of makes it a little more poppy, which looks good. And if you want to manipulate that, just alt-click on your subscaling, paste that expression that we wrote out, and manipulate the settings. And then you'll get some crazy glitch stuff going around. And finally, I recommend playing around with the sub offset as well as the evolution. So if I just alt-click on evolution and paste that wiggle expression again, with the same settings that I've been using, you can see that we're already getting something that's a little bit more flashy. Now, the final step is pretty important. Go to the effects and presets and type in linear color key. Drag that linear color key onto that solid layer and select the key color black. Pick the black color. So this way, if you toggle this transparency grid, you'll see that our effect and glitch overlay is actually going to be transparent. And I'm going to show you how to export this using my export settings so that it will be a transparent video when you drag it into Premiere Pro, as well as showing you how to add audio to this effect to make it pretty impactful using the 5 audio files that I've included in this free preset pack. But first, let's check out our sponsor, ENVATO Elements. ENVATO Elements has unlimited access to over 55 million assets such as fonts, video templates, motion backgrounds, sound effects, and more. Even glitch overlays like we're making right now. They have a simple license and it will even count when your subscription ends. Click the link down in the description below because you will get 50% off an annual subscription, which is pretty awesome. When you're collecting more assets for videos that you're working on, definitely check out ENVATO Elements because I'm currently building out a ton for my production folder. If you haven't watched my production video, that will also be linked down below because it'll change how you edit forever. Thank you, ENVATO, for sponsoring this video. Let's get on with it. All right, so now let's add some audio. All you have to do is go to the folder where you downloaded the pack and you have 5 different audio sounds that are all 10 seconds long to choose from. I'm just gonna pick glitch sound 2 and drag it into my project. And I'm gonna minimize my glitch overlay and drag in the glitch sound 2. Now click these down arrows, click on audio, and we're gonna start making a keyframe. So the first keyframe, let's just click that toggle animation button and let's right click on that and click toggle hold keyframe because I want all of these to hold so it kind of stutters with my image. All you have to do is hit Control and the right arrow key to jump 1 frame in the right direction, and I'm going to make this next one -50. This will make sense in a second once we start getting through this. But the reason why I made it -50 is because I'm gonna go frame by frame, and if I copy this setting, it will actually, the first frame will be 0 decibels and the next one will be -50. So I'm gonna highlight both those, hit Control C to copy it, and I'm gonna hold Control and the right arrow key. Since there's still objects and stuff on the frame, I'm gonna hit Control V, and then I'm gonna hit the right arrow key, holding Control, just so you can jump another frame in the right direction. And then I'm gonna hit Control V again because I still see stuff. As you'll see, since I'm copying both of those original audio keyframes, you'll see that if I scrub through here, it's going to be 0 decibel, 0 decibel, 0 decibel, and then -50 because there's nothing on the screen. So you have to repeat this process. Just hold Control, the right arrow key until something happens, and then hit paste. So you just have to keep pasting it on that next frame until you see something that doesn't have a lot of action on the screen where you want the audio to go away, like right there. So I'm gonna hold Control and the right arrow key until something pops back up. just like that. Keep repeating this process so that I am taking the audio away when there is nothing there and adding the audio back in. So I'm gonna go through here and then we can play it back. As you see, if I play this back, so it's only playing audio when there's actually something on the screen. So this will take some time, so I'm just gonna speed through this. So I just finished, so let's play all of these keyframes back and check out our transition. That's what we made in a short amount of time. Now I want to show you how to export this so that it will preserve its transparency when you drag it into Premiere. All you have to do is go to File and then go down to Export, click Add to Render Queue, go under Output Module and change format to QuickTime and change the channel to RGB and Alpha. That you can keep everything the same. You can play around with color management or anything else, but I think that looks good. Output this to an area where you can find this. We're going to call it Glitch Overlay 9 because this is going to be in the pack. And then all you have to do is click Render. Now that glitch render finished, I'm going to drag this into my pack folder. So now we actually created this glitch element that we can drag into our timeline, and it has audio and everything with it. But you can use this for like quick little transitional elements if you want to transition two clips between each other, or you can also use it to customize a logo. So I want to show you really quick before we end today's video how to actually do that and how to use this to customize text. So first I need to drag in my logo. And I'm dragging it in using a production because it is epic and you need to watch my productions video because it'll save all your assets inside Premiere Pro. So now all I have to do is drag glitch overlay video that we just created and click on your bottom logo layer. This is going to be for logos, and type in track matte. Drag that track matte key onto your logo and click the matte video 2. Now if you play this back, we can actually glitch out our logo, which is pretty cool. And you can also play around with the matte alpha versus matte luma because you'll get different effects, and you can reverse it as well because sometimes reversing it might look a little bit better, and reverse the matte luma. Now, if you don't want the track matte on there, just click delete and drag your logo over your video layer. And then if you play this back, your background will actually be affected and not your logo. Now I want to show you how to do text. So I'm gonna head to the graphics tab and I'm gonna click T and click in the program window to type out a new text layer. And I'm just gonna name it my name. And I'm gonna change the font to my favorite font right now, which is Durga, and increase the size. And then all I'm gonna do is center that text. Drag this to video 2. And I'm gonna go back to my editing window and drag in the glitch overlay that we just created. Again, you can just keep it in the background and it looks like that, but also you can go to the effects tab and type in track matte key, drag that onto your glitch overlay layer and select the matte video 2. So now if we play it back, you have your custom text glitching. Now keep in mind, you can use this on transitional elements in videos. All you have to do is find a section where you want to transition between two videos and drag on any glitch overlay effect and change the size to whatever you want, if you want it to be fast or short. It's pretty cool, and I would highly recommend that on your actual transition point, make sure there is an audio section right here. The fun thing is you can also click Y and click and drag. This will scrub through those sections so you can get a different point of the glitch if you wanted something that was a little bit shorter, or if you want something that's longer, all you have to do is scrub through and find those sections, or just click and drag your glitch so that it happens more or less. That's all. Hopefully you stuck around and learned something. If you want a more in-depth video on creating these glitch transitions and how you can use them in videos, let me know, because this was a lot of fun. But that's pretty much all I have time for. Click that like button, subscribe if you're new, because I'm gonna be making some more stuff in the future. Check out the links in the description. Everything's linked below. I'll see you guys next time.